Okay, so this is just a recording of me. This is not live. I decided to I just taught the introductory class and I thought I would chunk it down to like 5 or 10 minutes and just present really basic introductory information without the distraction of the interactions and so forth. So, the one thing you might know about the cards is your card, which is based on your birthday. And if you don't, oh shoot, where is it? How do you find out your birthday? How do you find out your card? Well, you can go to my website and find it. You can type it in and probably find it. There are a lot of easy places to find it, but okay, that's my website. And you can go there to look up what your card is and then get a free paragraph or two. And then if you want to buy your report, then you can read what I've read about you personally. So you start with your card. Okay, you are a card in the deck. You are one of 4 suits. You are one of the 13 numbers or face cards. And you are located somewhere in what is called the grand solar spread. So what happened is they took all of the cards and they put them in order. Yes, they're sequential, starting with the Ace of Hearts. This is 1 up through King, which is 13, starting over with the Ace of Clubs. 1 goes up to 26 with the King of Clubs, Diamonds, and Spades, ending up with card number 52, the King of Spades. And yes, they correlate to your age. So that's an interesting thing. You can be like, I'm 31, I'm in a 5 of Diamonds year. And it really is a thing. So what do I want to say next? Okay, so because of where you're located, so they had all these cards in order, and then they did this kind of interesting thing. It's called a quadration, where they lined up all the cards in the deck, and then they laid them out, and then relayed them and relayed them and relayed them, and it looks a little bit like solitaire. And there's a way to look up how this was done. I think it's just called the quadration. I don't know, but it's public knowledge. And then when they laid them all out again in the order, starting with this position, this is what they came up with. There were 7 cards that were in the same exact place, here as here, or they switched places with one other card. So I call that the circle of 7. It's the King of Spades. You can see he's the same here and here, the Jack of Hearts, and the 8 of Clubs. And then there's the 7 of Diamonds and 9 of Hearts, which simply traded places, and the Ace of Clubs, 2 of Hearts, which traded places. That's the circle of 7. That's a whole other category of study. It's tricky to be one of those cards. And some things don't apply to you if you are one of those cards. And most everything else does. So, starting out with your suit, what does that mean? Clubs, hearts, diamonds, and spades. If you watch the class that lasts like an hour or something, like go ahead 10 minutes to the video that is already on my page that's like an hour and 15 minutes or something, or more. Maybe it's like an hour and 45 because I took questions afterwards. Just scroll ahead 10 minutes and then I really get into the content, and there's a lot of detailed information about the suits. Hearts generally represent childhood and the emotional realm. Clubs represent adolescence and the knowledge realm. Diamonds represent adults and the money-making or values or ethics realm. And the spades represent the sage, or you can call it work, or its culmination, the culmination of all these things that result in something showing up in the physical plane. So it's kind of action, but it's more like manifestation. You can think of all the cards as Russian dolls, the Ace of Hearts being the one in the center, the inner child, and then it goes out from there. And the King of Spades conceptually contains all of the cards. So one could postulate the theory, which I'll explain as this theory postulating is an example of what I want you to learn to do. You could say to yourself, I wonder if the higher your card is, meaning closer to the King of Spades than it is the Ace of Hearts, I wonder if you tend to feel more responsibility for everyone's happiness. And then you test it out, because the Mystic Test Book, which is a book that was written, this was the first book that was written within the last, I don't know, couple hundred or even thousands of years. This is when it first began to become public and come out into the world. And this is written in like 1898 or something by this guy. That's what the original cover looks like. And the guy's name is, it looks like Only, but it's Olney. Olney Richmond. And he was a grandmaster in this mystic secret order called the Order of the Magi, OOM. And this has a lot of really intense esoteric information in it. It is a trip. It is a trip. So, and it gets really, really complicated and highly mathematical. So it might not be the best place to start. It was written by an adept, kind of, I think probably more for adepts. So anyway, you start with your card based on your birthday, and you say, which one is my suit and what is my kind of style? Like the argument style of a heart is to be kind of more emotional and pouty about something. The argument style of a club is to like analyze and just go to a knowledge place. Takes more to get them angry because they tend to be just kind of more in their head. The argument style of a diamond is they can get very angry because it's about what's important and values and ethics and morals and priorities and what should happen. So they tend to sermonize and have the most kind of attitude about it. They can be cruel. I'm a diamond. And the spade will be a little bit more kind of arrogant and dismissive, very minimal with their words. They've already kind of made all the computations in their mind, and they're just going to give you a tagline and then they'll walk away. They can be dismissive and condescending. And there's a positive to all of those too. I know that that's just an example of sort of the personality, but anyway, so there's that. And then just a brief overview of your number. So aces correlate to the number 1. They tend to be about self. 2s tend to be very relational and connective. 3s translate from here to here to here. They're more likely to be involved in experimentation and trying things out. There's an expansive energy. Here's another little mini teaching. Expansive energy. Can you see that the pips are moving away from each other? That's true of 3 suits, but not the diamonds. 3 of diamonds is more, let's just get our values on the table. It tends to be non-judgmental. 4s are about structure. They tend to be very defined. They can get stuck in a rut. They're stable, secure, security-oriented. The 5 is curious, dynamic, changing, adventure-seeking. 5 senses. The 6s tend to be more about planning and logistics. It can be a karmic number. It's about balancing, the need for balance. They can be polarized. They can be, I'm trying to balance, but I'm really this, and then I'm really that. The 7s are a relationship to perfectionism. They're the only one that's asymmetrical. So when you think about it, there's a dot in the middle on the top 5, and there's no dot in the middle in the bottom 4. So they're a combination of odd and even. They're a combination of something that takes up space and something that's empty. They're like a prophet to the king. They have a lot of discernment and wisdom. They're very sensitive to what is out of alignment with perfection. It's like you're going down this path. Again, each one of these tells a story. They're walking down a path and there's an obstacle, which is attachment. They have to get up over it. 7s deal with attachment according to their suit. 8s are about power, control, structure, leadership. They can be kind of bossy, but they can also get the servant aspect of that. Okay, somebody has to take charge here. I see the big picture. We have an 8 of hearts holding the very bottom, and we have an 8 of diamonds in the pinnacle position. 8, power. It's also vision. They can see the big picture. Okay, 9s tend to represent a kind of ephemeral wholeness or even infinity, because sometimes wholeness is infinity. They tend to always be looking for a larger context to explain something. They can disappear. They're peacemakers. They can be real caretakers, counselors, intuitive, insightful. The tens are about everything. Tens represent a lot of something. So they can be going in a lot of different directions. They're very success oriented. They vibrate to the number one, so they can be kind of self centered and selfish, but also kind of inclusive in a Jupiterian way. And yet it's still kind of all about them. Um, every card is in you, by the way. The Jack is initiating everyone into a new something. He's the youngest child of the royal family, so he has privilege. He has um, resources available to him. Very creative, not attached, whatever. The queen is the nurturer, the mother, the coach, the teacher, the mentor, the one on one. Can be very directive and authoritative, telling you to get your shit together, or telling you the truth, or telling you what you should do, or um, we're all a mixed bag, right? The kings tend to be very authority. I am the king in my kingdom. The ego inhabits each one of these. I have told you how the ego inhabits and how the spirit inhabits it. I've tried to kind of keep my tone neutral, but there's a, there's a positive and negative. There's a human failing with it, and there's a spiritual purpose to each one of these. The king's spiritual purpose is, I am a king in my own kingdom. I claim authority and sovereignty. I get to name my experience, and they tend to be very authoritative. And when the ego inhabits that, we know what happens. It's just kind of like, is everyone lost but me? And isn't it obvious what's going on here? And they just tend to kind of lord it over everybody, think that they're, I don't know, and sometimes they're just capable of handling responsibility. So sometimes they take it when they don't need to. They're not being asked to or whatever. But so that is a very quick and dirty introduction to the cards as a descriptive tool. Now they are also a predictive tool. So there's the Destiny Cards book. And without explaining to you how we get to the Destiny Cards book, it is a layout of everybody's life. Every year of your life, every 52-day period of your life. And there's a calendar in back based on your birthday and your 52-day periods. Now I'm in my Mercury period. Now I'm in my Mars period. And you can look at the cards of influence during that period of time and be able to anticipate what kind of period that's going to be for you. A lot of depth and complexity in that. There are several different ways to figure the hand of a card. Let's talk about hands for just a moment. Here is my card. Here is my hand. Moon, because it hides behind me. It is unseen. It is unknown except to me. It's my emotional reality. It's my launching pad from childhood. Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. We have been taught to go down and to the left. That is the order of the cards numerically. They go down and to the left. I have discovered recently that you can also go up and to the right. I have named that the Ascension hand. I have coined the term Ascension cardology. It's not one or the other, it's both. You have the future and the giving potential, the self-actualizing potential of the right hand that goes up. You also have the let's get down and dirty, deal with the past, our karma, our issues, our failings. This is all about me, can be about my strengths and beauties and assets. Your Mercury is about how you think or how you communicate. Your Venus tells about relationships, female things in your mother. Mars, okay, this is basic astrology, so I'm not going to cover that. What each one of the planets means is like this arena of your life. This is the card of influence over that arena of your life. And okay, so someone else is a card. Say you meet your Neptune card. The person who is your Neptune card. So from my hand, descending Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Say I meet a king of diamonds. I will tend to idealize them. They will take on the Neptune hue. They are Neptune to me. They may also show me the possibilities, an idealized version of something. Or could it be that all diamond males will take on that Neptune quality? And the dark side is I'll project all my shit onto them because Neptune is about projection. So that gives you a taste of the relationships between the cards. I've got so and he's this card, and what's our planetary influence? There's a bunch of ways to find those planetary influences because if he's a king of diamonds, I can also go over here and find the king of diamonds in this location. And from here, he's my Uranus card. So there's also a sense of, I don't really expect anything. I don't have any attachments around this relationship. I could just live and let live. So there's also that influence. And they dance together. It's both. If you have a question about, is it this or this? I would say 80% of the time my answer would be yes, and always it's everything. So my parting comments to you about your exploration of the cards is trust yourself. Trust what information is interesting to you. What is your learning edge? Trust the form of information that comes to you. And if you really, really want to deepen into your study, I recommend getting your deck and do the shuffling practice that Robert Camp puts out there. Robert Camp has a lot of really useful information, both in love cards and destiny cards. It's kind of the foundation for all of us. And you will find your own way and become your own inner teacher with how this works. So you do this shuffling thing that he recommends. It's just basically you shuffle for an entire minute, and at every 20-second interval, you cut the deck. You just split it and do that at every 20 seconds. Then after 1 minute of time, the deck has taken on the vibrational frequency of this, whatever your intention is in that moment. And if your intention, so you can do a spread for the day, or what I recommend is a spread for the week. I would recommend a simple spread, which is just laying out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is going to be Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. And we tend to read left to right. So that's how we do it, lay it out left to right. However you want is fine, as long as you know what the designations are. And then the last 3 cards on the top, which is going to be long range, Pluto, and result. That's your weekly spread. Refer back to it, leave it out, and refer back to it through the week. And begin to develop kind of a feedback of like, oh, well, this happened. This was a theme. How could this card represent that? You know, like this was a 9 of clubs. I didn't lose anything. There wasn't an ending, but I was challenged to let go of this old belief system that I've had for a long time. And then you go, oh, that's one way that manifests for me. Probably everybody, but that's how you learn the cards. It's a feedback communication. And also, I don't have my book handy here, but on my website, my book is available, or you can go on to Amazon and it gives you a very quick reference for all of the 52 cards. So you can use it as like one of those little tarot decks, a reference. And it gives an interpretation for every single card. And my book is called, it's $13. So you got a called So You Got a Destiny Cards book. Now what? You can look that up and buy it on Amazon. And it's a great way to just keep it handy with you so that you get familiar with the meanings of the cards. And then also trust and deepen into what you're getting. And also find out people's birthdays and get kind of a feel. And that's where the Love Cards book is a really good introduction. And you can go on thriftbooks.com and get some good stuff used. I don't know how many editions this has. He keeps adding to Destiny cards more knowledge and stuff, but the Love Cards book just has, like, here's the 5 of clubs. I've given every card a name based on my experience with it, but he gives a name and a description, and then the next page you get to see what is their hand, what are the cards in their hand. So this is what I was showing you before. Here's my hand. He's giving you the descension hand. I believe there is a whole other world called ascension cardology, and a lot of things would have to be refigured to get a complete, and that is my goal, is to write a complete volume of both ascension and descension cards for every life in the deck. And it is possible. Determined to do that because it just came through. So anyway, if you are interested in learning more, just like subscribe to my channel, watch these videos. You can go onto the Clubhouse app. There's a ton of information, huge cardology community there. And you can type in the word cardology, come up with stuff. you can type in your card and find some stuff, and don't ever get stuck on one meaning or a negative meaning. Many, many colors to every single card. So there you have it. Thanks for watching, and look for my upcoming classes.